This is Scott Mellinger from Zao, and you're listening to Discography Discussion.
You're listening to Discography Discussion, episode 231, Morbid Angel, with Scott Mellinger of Zao.
If this thing falls, I'll grab it real quick.
It's fine.
Hosted by Dan Terry.
People will love that. I could just clip that 30 seconds, put it on YouTube, millions of views.
And Joseph Wren. These are all clips from the same episode of Discography Discussion. Look, his phone fell a lot. Presented by discussmetal.com. And if your maze of torment leads down a crimson corridor, then you are ready for this episode of Discography Discussion. I am Joe. That is Dan. That is Scott.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Discography Discussion. We are talking about Morbid Angel, and I didn't feel 100% qualified to talk about Morbid Angel without some help. And it's not that Joe's no help. It's just that I needed some professional help. So we pulled in Scott Mellinger from Zao. How you doing tonight, man?
I'm good.
You stoked about some Morbid Angel?
I am. I'm actually. I don't know if we should start calling them Gojira 1.0,
right?
Or if we should just call them Morbid Angel.
100%. Well, we are going to get into all of that, all the Gojira comparisons, because I actually didn't hear I didn't ever think about Morbid Angel when I was listening to Gojira.
Mm-hmm.
And then you said I don't remember. You said something about that. I don't know if it was on our show or on somebody else's, but you were like, yeah, I mean, Gojira is like the new Morbid Angel.
And, dude, and it's totally because I'm a fan of Gojira too. But the riffs, like that early, what's I'm trying to think of an earlier Gojira record, like
Mars Mysterious or Paranoia Incognita.
What's the Ways of Flesh or All the Way?
The Way of All Flesh. Oh yes.
Yeah. Like, dude, it's like straight up like condensed Morbid Angel. Like everything that Morbid Angel does sick, like Gojira kind of just did it too and do it well. So, and now I rip it off too. So who cares? Whatever.
I didn't hear too many Morbid Angel riffs on the Crimson Corridor.
Yeah, there's a couple hidden.
Now on Virus, that was a little bit more there. But
yeah. Haunting Pools is straight up Morbid Angel.
Oh yeah. Alrighty. Well, we are going to read a couple of comments. I got an email actually. So something that I think a lot of people don't know is that maybe for the first year we were doing this podcast, I just picked the bands that we talked about. But pretty much ever since then, it's all been listener suggestion. People are just like, hey, how come you haven't talked about this band, this band, this band? And so people send us lists of bands that they want us to talk about. So I'm going to read an email we got from Revd, who says, hey, I just wanted to drop an email saying I love your show. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's one of the many things that I listen to help pass by an otherwise boring workday. I feel that. Not to mention the mix is loud enough that I can hear it in my noisy environment. You can thank Joe for that.
Every time.
Here are some bands that I'm into that I would love to see covered on your show in the near future. And he wrote us a book. I'm going to read most of them. May not get all of them, but Algalok.
Whoa.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say anal on YouTube, but maybe I'll edit it out. We'll see. Anvil, Body Count. Body Count is definitely happening.
It's going to happen, absolutely.
Brutal Truth, Candlemass, that one's definitely happening. Cathedral, Crowbar, the heaviest band in the world.
Yes.
Deicide, Disgorge, Dying Fetus, Evile, which is weird because I swore when I read that we'd already done a Dying Fetus episode, and we I guess we didn't. The Faceless, Gorefest, that one's definitely happening. Gravedigger, Hate Eternal, Immolation, Jungle Rot, Malevolent Creation, Morbid Angel. Oh, we got you covered on that one. Mortician, Severe Torture, 6 Feet Under, Sleep, Symphony X, and Vital Remains.
Wow.
Oof. So that's a lot. That's like what, a whole year worth of episodes.
See you in 2023.
I don't think we're gonna do the anal episode. I don't know if
Remind
I can do
me
that
to call
myself.
Matt Nas for that one.
Yeah, you guys can do it together. I'm not gonna. I don't think I'm gonna be sick that week. But yeah, so we will definitely. I think a lot of these we actually have on the list already. So your voice has been heard. We will get to some of these as I make the calendar. I think I've made most of the calendar for this year already, but next year's prime picking, so it'll be a lot of fun.
Hey, Dan.
What's up?
We did a Patreon hangout this week. You want to talk about how awesome that was?
Yeah, we did. So our Patreon subscribers all got together with us and we played Jackbox games, which was like maybe the most fun I'd ever had in my life. If you've never played a Jackbox game, it's like it throws the questions up on the screen and then everybody else can like answer the questions like on their phones and stuff. And all I know is that my wife was like, after we were done, was like, you were downstairs like yelling, laughing, and screaming into the computer. Like, there's no. She's like, I've never seen you have that much fun, like in at least 10 years. I said, okay, well, that's cool. But yeah, that was a ton of fun, and we're gonna definitely keep doing that once a month. So if you guys are not members of the Patreon and you want to be, we will give you information on that at the end of the show. And oh yeah, we have some Patreon feedback as well. Lance Allagood,
the king of metal,
was a little irritated that we did not talk about the Iron Maiden live albums in our Iron Maiden episode. And the only thing I could say to that is, yeah, I know Iron Maiden's a great live band and they have lots of great live albums. I just didn't want a 7.5-hour episode. And they had so many albums. But maybe we'll do something special on the Patreon feed just for that. Yeah, so metal news. Are we doing metal news? I guess we can. I don't have the Facebook page pulled. Actually, you know what? I can do that. I can do that right now. I can pull that up. I really want to get Joe's thoughts on this.
Well, before Dan finally finds out what I think about the new Colors album, I'm going to take this time to say thank you to everyone for listening to the podcast. Thank you for listening and for subscribing. If you are not a subscriber, then you can find everything Discography Discussion at discussmetal.com. We are on Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, twitch.tv/DiscussMetalDan for all your game streaming needs. So if you have an Amazon Echo or a Google Home, you have no excuse. Ask it to play the latest episode of the Discography Discussion podcast, and it will. We're also on Facebook and on Twitter at Discuss Metal. Be sure to like, favorite, and subscribe. It really helps us out. It lets us know you're listening. And now Dan is going to tell us all about 5-star reviews.
Hey, we do enjoy our 5-star reviews here on Discography Discussion. If you want to leave us a 5-star review, do that. If you want us to read it on the podcast, definitely like write words with it. But the other good thing that you guys have been doing has been sharing the episodes. There's no better feeling for me than whenever I post something in a Facebook group and my post gets deleted because one of you guys has already posted it in that group. So it's a good problem to have, and I really appreciate it.
So what did you want to ask me about, Dan?
Oh, yeah. So here we go. I'm going to show you this.
Something called Colors again?
Oh, you already know about it. So
I have a feeling this is what you were going to bring up, and
well, Between the Buried and Me is putting out a Colors 2. They're already taking pre-orders for it.
Is it going to be as good as the first Colors?
I don't know what it's going to be like because I haven't heard it yet.
Then I have no opinion.
That's definitely something cool that we need to think about and watch out for in the future. But to the task at hand, let's get into some Morbid Angel.
So Dan, tell me about Morbid Angel.
Morbid Angel is one of my favorite death metal bands. They have been around since 1983. I want to say 3. No?
I don't know. I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
That sounds right. Like 83, 84.
But 83, 84, something like that. And
I was shaking my head like, wow, that's a long time. That's all.
Yeah, no, they've been around for a minute. And they are... oh my God, I guessed it right on the money. I just looked it up and it was 1983. So
wow.
Yay.
Nice.
So these guys started off as kind of like a thrash metal, like early, you know how there was kind of a mixture of like your thrash bands from the 80s. Some of them became death metal bands in the 90s whenever they rose to prominence. It's always really, really good whenever your band is from Tampa, Florida, and it's the early 90s. Mm-hmm. You're probably going to have a good time. You're probably going to record your albums at More Sound Studios with Scott Burns, and everybody's going to give you all the praise and adoration that you deserve for playing outrageously heavy riffs, crazy drumming, and vocals that they were, to be honest, they were still kind of trying to work it out. And I'm actually gonna get into that a little bit whenever we start talking about the first album. But Morbid Angel was probably one of the most popular death metal bands to ever exist, only because they got played on like MTV and like Beavis and Butthead and stuff. And they got, I remember because they played God of Emptiness on Beavis and Butthead. And then like albums just started flying off the shelves right after that.
Right
and
alongside King Diamond.
Right. I think a lot of people were introduced to death metal kind of in that way. And I think that album that song is from, Covenant, is probably one of the most, I don't know if it's the top selling death metal album of all time, but it's definitely up there.
1989, Altars of Madness.
Yeah. Blessed, which one's the first record? Is it Blessed Are the Sick or is it Altars of Madness?
It's Altars of Madness.
Is it? Okay, cool.
Yep.
I had to.
And this one's, I'm just going to say it. It sucks to just say this at the very, very beginning of the episode, but like, this is my favorite Morbid Angel album.
Oh, wow.
Just because, not that I think like all the other ones are shit, but like, I think that this one is really unique. It's kind of that early era of death metal where death metal wasn't really a thing. Like, I mean, it was a thing, but like bands were just trying new things. They were trying to establish kind of a sound that I think other people would copy going forward. And Altars of Madness is just one dark, fast, angry, chaotic, satanic album. Like, it is everything that your parents don't want you listening to in metal, all in one record. I mean, there's tons of blasphemy. There's terrifying blacks beats. I don't know if that's YouTube safe. Blast beats, and very, very, very. Some of the best drumming I think that I've heard in death metal since then. And I really, really like their singer, David Vincent's voice. I don't think I have to get too into detail how I enjoy higher register, raspy vocals in metal, but like David Vincent got it on this record, hands down. I had never heard anything from this era that sounded this evil. Like you could listen to like Death, Scream Bloody Gore, but like Chuck was still doing like a thrash thing with his voice. You know, like the music was heavier. Possessed, it was kind of the same thing. Obituary, it was just kind of like a dude yelling while he was drunk. And but Morbid Angel, David Vincent was the first time that like I feel like the idea of the death metal vocal was like really brought into prominence, where it's like it's going to be terrifying, it's going to scare you, it's going to scare anybody that's near you, and if your parents find it, they're going to throw it away.
Did you want something that would be compared to Slayer with incredibly epic keyboards and really dark imagery? Because that's what you're going to get with this album.
Yeah,
100%.
It's weird to think, because it does. It's a lot, like you were saying, Dan. It's like it's way more thrash than what they turn into later. It's way faster, but his voice and then the way Trey, like his solos sound like they don't sound like a guitar. They sound like you just summon demons and they're in your room. Like his solos always start with the weirdest noises that and they're just incredible. I mean, but he's kind of that. I think he sticks to that kind of the whole time. But his solos, man, and the guitar stuff that he does, really, it adds to that whole terrifying thing.
And that's that frantic 80s thrash metal influence. Let's just make the loudest shrieking noise we can, because Eddie Van Halen did it, and I can make it sound way more dark than that.
Yeah. That dude. Oh, yeah. We'll get more into how awesome that dude is.
Yeah, I mean, like Cat Strangler solos everywhere, and like it's not my favorite type of solo, but in this type of band, it's all you can have, because it's not music that's designed to make you feel good. It's music that, like, go ahead.
Well, no, like you're gonna like as a guitarist, like there's not like melody to like solo to. Like literally, it's just in like crushing insanity that you have to find craziness to work with. Like you can't. I don't know how you like. He couldn't even use like any kind of blues scales or anything. Like it just has to be insanity.
It's a feeling, Scott. It's not a theory.
Yeah, there's no. Yeah, he's throwing his guitar down the steps.
I just thought that he was reading tab from like a evil book that he found or something.
The Necronomicon solo.
I think that's got to be where he gets his name, right? Trey Asgathoth, or as a Gathoth. I don't know. It's intentionally. It's one of those Lovecraft things.
Can we just call him Trey for the rest of the episode?
Asgathoth. I'm saying that. I got it.
Asgathoth. I like that. Yeah, that's even better.
Sounds like you're conjuring something over there, Scott.
Yeah, dude. Like, is that his real name? That's not his real name, right?
No.
Is it like Trey? Like, it's probably some crazy Italian name. Because I think
it's Greek. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's like William.
Oh, so it's not even Trey.
Yeah, his name's not even Trey. Yeah, that's
awesome.
That's really what we need to gather from this. His name's not actually even Trey. But
wow. So
he's
that's incredible.
Okay, his name is George Michael Emmanuel III.
That's the best name ever. Why did you change it? George Emmanuel. What is it? George Michael Emmanuel?
Well, can you imagine though being a kid in like the 80s trying to start a band and being like, "What's your name?" Oh, my name's George Michael. Yeah,
but it's Emmanuel too. I mean, I'm not just George Michael.
You know, just call me Trey.
Yeah,
Trey what? Asgathoth.
Yeah. Where did you hear that, Trey? Oh, it's in the Satanic Bible somewhere. Sorry.
It's a Satanic Bible. You probably haven't read it. You probably don't understand.
You just don't know about it. Yeah, you'll get it someday.
Oh man, but yeah, Altars of Madness is interesting to me because it's number one. It's amazingly produced.
Yeah, dude, those death metal records are all like they're for what they are. How good Scott Burns was at like actually separating all the different sounds is still mind blowing. People still like. I think now people are getting good at doing it that way, but like nobody was able to like. Dude, listen to like even like And Justice for All's '88, and that record has no bass and like all the things mixed together. Yeah, and Scott Burns was able to take the most disgusting guitar tones, the craziest drums, and like you could still hear everything.
I don't know if I listened to a remaster or what, but like when I listened to this on my stereo at home, I had to like turn it down because I was actually afraid I was going to blow my speakers, which never happens. Because like I listen to like modern stuff, like I mean, dude, the Crimson Corridor digital download, the FLAC is from the master.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like probably the loudest record that I have on like in my digital collection right now. And even that didn't blow my speakers. But I thought for sure that Altars of Madness, like I thought I was going to see smoke coming out of one of the speakers. I was like, oh, I got to turn that down. Wow. And I don't know if that's a remaster because I don't think the CD that I ripped it from is the original release.
I wonder if they did. I mean, I think they might have, but I wonder if they just mastered it like real hot back then, just to bother people.
Maybe.
Because like what Motorhead did that? Didn't they like have their records are like pushed to the limit on purpose? So maybe.
That sounds like a decision Lemmy would make.
Yeah, it's like that's Motorhead, yeah.
Are we ready?
1991. Blessed are the sick.
Who wants to go first?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think you're good at doing the start off, Dan.
All right. Yeah, I've done this a couple of times, but
231 times.
Right. Blessed are the sick is number one. It sounds like a totally different band, and whenever I say that, I'm not saying it to be like that it's bad because it's not. It hits a totally different vibe than Altars of Madness. And I think that was intentional. They're definitely going for a much more like almost like groove. It's got this like sick groove to it. David Vincent's vocals go way down. They go into like what you would expect from death metal, like the guttural screams and or the guttural growls. He does a little bit of that evil Altars of Madness screaming towards the end of the album, but this one, it's mostly just like really, it's perfect like 90s death metal, guttural vocals. And for the most part, I really like this record. There's just a few things about it that bother me, like the weird interlude, like the weird keyboardy interludes that are in the songs. And I know that this is just the band trying to we don't want to make Altars of Madness 2. Mm-hmm. We want to, we really want to show off like our chops. And our boy Trey is really like I think that the guitar tone on this one is so much deeper and darker sounding than it was on Altars of Madness, to the point where like I'm listening to it and I'm like, dude, it's okay. Like there's still like hope in the world. Like it's okay. You don't have to be like, you're right, guitar tones that are this dark, but it's good. I like it a lot. If I'm going to criticize it at all, I'm going to say that like, even though it's only like 40 minutes long, it does feel like it kind of drags a little bit longer, but that's kind of par for the course in the early 90s where bands are going for groove. It's like they just discovered it and they just want to just make it last as long as they possibly can.
Yeah, like every part's a groove part instead of like the fast and then the groove, the fast. But yeah, I actually, this is when I started getting way more into them, because like the fast thrashy stuff was like I started kind of getting out of, because I think, when like Pantera kind of was in my mind, kind of my headspace for when this record was, I like found this record. So I love the groove and the slow and the beginnings of the David Vincent like bellowing weirdness. Mm-hmm. But so I'm in now. But I think later in now, like I can go back to Altars of Madness and really like appreciate that more. And like you said, like production wise, it's such a cool sounding record. And then now, like, yeah, Trey's guitar tone, dude, I don't know how these guys, I mean, he's used it, like, I've seen video, I've seen, like, I think he has a Marshall. He's using the same type of amp I use, but it's just so thick and gross and perfect.
There are multiple moments in this album, Scott, where it sounds like you discovered some sort of machine that allows you to travel through time. And someone just decided it was a good idea to slow down and then speed up the self-titled Zao album. It has that dirty but clean sound. Mm-hmm. And then for no reason at all, we're just going to start blasting.
Yeah.
I am questioning where you got your influences from on this one, but not so much.
Yeah, this is actually an expose. Like,
yeah. Everything we've ever done is just Morbid Angel, like broken down into like the beginning phases of learning how to play guitar, because half of it's all drop C.
Scott's got himself a turntable and he just keeps hitting the 45 button and says, see, that's what it needs to do. It needs to be really slow and then really fast.
Yeah, there we go.
No, I thought this one was cool. It wasn't what I was expecting. And I will say this, I could see like hardcore Altars of Madness fans being really thrown off by this. Like, what are you guys doing? Now you guys sound like all the other death metal bands. Even though when they put Altars of Madness out, there weren't like a whole bunch of imitators. But by 1991, death metal bands were a dime a dozen.
Yep.
And so I could see people, idiots mostly, that would be like, oh, this is not great because it's not fast. It's not like Altars of Madness. And so I think whenever we move on to the third album, things get a lot more interesting by getting a lot more simple.
Yeah.
I was about to ask you if this album has some serious Pantera influence, because the dude just started whispering at me. 1993, Covenant.
So Covenant is like a record that I'm not allowed to say anything bad about, so I'm probably not going to. But I will say that like Covenant is kind of what I feel like they were building towards. This kind of takes the Altars of Madness speed kind of back into it. Mm-hmm. And the band does a really good job of kind of alternating between the previous two records, where they'll have a faster paced song, really kind of frantic, but then turn around and play like almost Doom slow riff. Like God of Emptiness is like, I consider that a Doom metal song.
Oh, totally.
Like through and through. And I love it, but the only criticism I can really throw towards this record is that it's not really as musically complex as the previous two, which probably is why it was more popular. Not saying that like the masses can only understand simple music, but yeah, I guess that is kind of what I'm saying.
It's
a little
metal,
bit more.
Dude. People want it to be fast and unintelligible.
It's death metal. It's death metal, and it is unintelligible, but it's not as much. You're not getting just absolutely assaulted by new riffs every 2 seconds.
But why not?
Because that's not what people want to hear. You know, I mean, it's what I want to hear. But like, you have to be like a very special type of person to like, you know, have such a short attention span that you can't focus on a single riff for more than a couple of seconds. Most people had pretty good attention spans, and so whenever I'm listening to Covenant, I find a little bit more of a stripped down Morbid Angel, where they've kind of pulled back on the technicality and gone forward with the evilness, with the atmosphere. And that's really this record's biggest strength, is that evil, dripping, like satanic atmosphere.
Love it. I'm all for it. And actually what I think too, and it's hard because I totally understand the want for like that just super aggressively fast kind of like death metal, but with the way his guitar tone is, that slowed down chunky stuff it's just so much more apt to like showcase that guitar tone, sort of. Because like I notice even like for when we do stuff, like when we kind of break it down a little bit and do a more simple type of thing, like everything just sounds better because there's not so much going on.
Right.
And that's kind of what I love about Covenant, is like when he does break down to a more simplistic thing, it allows like that tone to just really shine through. So I once again, like I'm like all in on this Morbid Angel era.
And for me, this album is just more of that Altars of Madness, absolute insanity, where yeah, it's not as complex, but it is crazy enough that you want to run down to the front of the stage and get yourself in the middle of the pit, get some old school slam dance on. I'm not listening to this because I'm looking for musical intricacy. This is a real good definition of insane on purpose, but not so insane that you have to accept something that is otherwise unintelligible. It's not noise for the sake of noise.
Yeah.
And I think too that part of the thing about this record and why it was so popular is I think that this is the kind of record where, like, you know, if I'm talking to somebody at work or something and they're like, you know, what kind of music do you like? I almost always say death metal first. Is like kind of my go-to style of music. But a lot of the times you can't just show that person like Altars of Madness, or you can't show them and you certainly can't show them like a Suffocation album or something like that. And I feel like Covenant is kind of that nice sweet spot to where you can show somebody something that's legitimately death metal, but they're gonna like be like, okay, I get this. Okay, so it's like dark, you know, impossibly heavy riffs, deep guttural vocals, but like he's really easy to understand. On this record, he's very clear.
Yep.
And a lot of death metal vocalists are not. So it's one of those things where like if you're gonna lose somebody sometimes in them not being able to understand the lyrics like right away. And then the soloing on this record, while being a little bit more simple and being a little bit more traditional, at least as far as like Trey goes, who I know just likes to make loud screeching sounds. This is a little bit more like what people would expect from a metal guitar solo. So I think in that sense, as far as appealing to a larger audience, they did a really, really good job. Considering before this, I would think that they were a band that would be largely hard to market.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, then Covenant comes out, and even when we move on to the next one, like it really does. It's like death metal for a mass audience. It really is.
I was hoping you were going to bring up Damnation, Scott.
Yeah, dude, that record.
95. Wait, I said Damnation, didn't I?
Yeah, it's okay. You are. It's sort of the same.
It's okay, dude. I listen to Opeth sometimes too. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, Domination. Like for my younger like death metal, like moving into like wanting breakdowns and stuff. Yeah, Domination was a pretty sick album for me. Where the Slime Live, like I'm still trying to write a cool riff like that. I don't think I ever will. It's just such a good riff.
I'd challenge you on that one, Scott.
And dude, honestly, I'm terrible with the song names because it's just so bad. But what's the other? There's another song on Domination that I literally did basically rip off in my band before Zao. So, and I can't remember what the hell the song's called.
So what you're saying is the statute of limitations on that
it's over.
up.
Like I'm good. Yeah, I shouldn't get in trouble for that one. Because there was a Creationist Crucifixion song that we straight up took the like where the notes are from. It's straight up a Morbid Angel song. It's like
not This Means War, is it?
No, it's the one with the like that. What is the song called? Oh, this is gonna drive me crazy. It has like the but it's super fast picking. What is that song called?
Dawn of the Angry.
There it is. Yes, Dawn of the Angry. Yep. Yeah, totally
Okay.
ripped that like note. Those notes are the same notes. I just did them a little differently, but we totally stole that from Morbid Angel because it's that song should go down. Like if there was like death metal like Hall of Fame, that's was it Dawn of the Angry?
Dawn of the Angry, yeah.
Yeah, that is Hall of Fame worthy death metal song.
Oh yeah. Domination is number one of my favorite death metal covers of all time.
Oh, it's so good.
You've got like the giant pentagram and there's like slime and goop and crap all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got this gnarly like green slimy Morbid Angel logo on there. And you've got a huge tower or dick. I'm not really sure which one it is. It's probably a tower.
When you see this cover, Dan, are you convinced that Ghostbusters 3 should have been a thing?
Should have been, man. Where the slime live, yeah.
Yep. Straight up Ghostbusters 2 ooze.
I like this record more than Covenant, which I know like some people don't. Some people don't. Like I was reading some reviews today. I read reviews on the Metal Archives website, which has some of the most hilarious reviews for albums I've ever seen. And there were so many people who were like, oh, it's so sloppy compared to Covenant and everything. I think this record is like, I don't think it's sloppy at all. It's pretty choppy. It's pretty precise to me, especially with some of that riffing, like just the kind of the intricate, can't really say melody, but like, I don't know. There's a lot of really good sounding tremolo on here, and it is melodic in places.
There is some melody to this stuff. Yeah, I agree.
But I like the groove. I like that it's faster than Covenant, and it's just really like it's a lot of swinging around and being amazing. And coincidentally, it's the last David Vincent album.
Yep.
Which, as we're gonna find out later, isn't really a problem. But like, it's like this is absolutely like top tier death metal. This is like if you're a guitarist and you want to learn how to play death metal guitar, you want to start with like Covenant and Domination as kind of your starting spot, because like I feel like with a band like Morbid Angel versus like a band like Suffocation, who we talked about a couple weeks ago, Suffocation's great. One of my favorites of all time. But the problem, it's not even a problem, but the difference with a band like Suffocation is you're going to try to play their stuff and you're going to get frustrated and quit.
Oh yeah.
Just because of the pace. Yeah, the pacing and just trying to get everything down exactly right, the timing on everything. Whereas with a record like Domination, you learn Covenant first, and then you learn how to play stuff off of Domination, and you slowly increase kind of your skill set that way. This record's kind of like it's up a difficulty level, I guess, as far as guitar playing goes. I don't know. You guys are guitarists, I'm not, but.
I was waiting for you to let that one out because this is that example of 1995. Scott, stop me if you've heard this one. You go to Guitar Center, you find the coolest looking, I know what I said, either Ibanez or Jackson with a reverse headstock, put the Floyd Rose on it, and get yourself a really dark thrash metal tone. Now, only play the first 4 frets.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And when it's time for the solo, Go high, go fast, go loud.
Yeah. But I always tend, for some reason, my Jackson headstocks can't go backwards. Like I needed to go. I like the normal Jackson headstock. I love the backwards Ibanez one
because it sounds better, right?
Well,
because it looks cool.
Well, here's the funny thing about the reverse headstock thing is it's way better for people that drop tune because you get a better, longer scale length.
More tension.
So, yeah, you're going to get a longer scale length because your low string is like the furthest on your headstock.
That's why I'm the insane person who puts standard tuned strings on a baritone guitar. I want more length.
Yeah, it's straight. Like
clip that for YouTube, Dan.
We have that problem in like because I love like just traditional guitars, and it's tough to keep those kind of guitars in tune when you're dropped to like B and all that crap.
Speaking of being in B, Gateways to Annihilation. Nope, that's too late. Formula's Fatal to the Flesh.
Yeah, what's the next record after Domination?
Formula's Fatal to the Flesh.
It is?
Yeah.
1998.
Wow, dude, I'm terrible. I thought it was a little later.
So
I screwed it up too. That's why I was like, yeah, Gateways. You know.
Yeah, I thought wow, dude, I'm bad. Okay.
So Dan, are you telling me that Johnny was a chemist's son, and he discovered that it was in fact H2SO4?
I guess I don't know. That's a reference. This record, like, I kind of expected to hate it, because.
But, dude. This record grows on you. It's weird. Like, I think I talked to Dan about this record, and I think this is Dan's favorite Morbid Angel record.
Yeah.
And I think coming off of Domination, Formula's Fatal to the Flesh is like way too chaotic. And you're not ready for that yet because you're expecting like, okay, they're going in this direction. And then they put that record out and it's just like insanity again. But still slow and different vocals. So all this stuff happens in this record. But as you listen to it, it is so good. It's so good.
A good death metal album sounds frantic. It sounds out of time.
It's so, and
he's gone.
And Scott's not here anymore. All right, Dan. So what was Scott going to say about this album?
He was going to say it was the best album of all time.
He was going to say, listen to the Crimson Corridor. Wait, that's what you were going to say.
Right.
So on YouTube, you will either see this or Dan will cut it out of the middle of the episode. Who knows? I know I don't.
I might do some crazy editing skills. And if I can't figure it out, I'll just have Buddy do it.
Breaking news. Scott Mellinger hijacked during podcast to record new album for Jade Meridian. Thank God we're not live, or else this would be annoying. I'm kidding. I'd be reading comments for days.
He said his phone died. He's like, let me charge for just 10 to 20 minutes. I was like, all right.
We're just going to keep rolling then.
Yeah, 100%.
But okay, we'll go back to where we were. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Scott, you were literally breaking into your serious thoughts about Domination.
No, not Domination. It was Formula's Fatal to the Flesh.
What he said.
Yes. Yeah. I think what we were talking about, like how they just kind of went back, it was just more chaos. And they brought that chaos back. Totally brutal singing again. Unbelievable drumming. But there were like, the way his guitar work always hit me was like, you know how like most people when they write, there's like, it's almost like how he's like thinking in a different dimension or something. Like the parts, you know what I mean? Like the parts kind of move linear, like there's a linear movement to the music, but it feels like you're not just going in a straight line. Like his stuff is so like the way I don't know how to, it's hard to explain, but every time like I listen to that record, it feels like I don't get it, even though I'm listening to it.
As frustrating as it is sometimes, good death metal is like taking a rubber band and just stretching it back and forth. Sometimes the riff goes up here, sometimes it goes down there, sometimes it's fast. Sometimes you stretch your capabilities a little too far and it sounds like garbage, but it works.
Even with his soloing and with like the riffs, like everything just feels like all of us are like watching, like Trey's on in one like like how a fly looks at a human being. So he's like a human being, and we're watching him like from a different perspective. He knows what he's doing, but we're over here like, I think I'm following, but like it's so hard to. It's so that record especially, like there are just things that he does on the guitar that I'm just like, what?
I think I can hang with this guy, but I'm just not sure.
Yeah, his whole process of writing a riff is just so different and cool, and like nobody else plays like him.
For me, the way I would describe it is it's like a vortex, really, more than anything. It's like just a spinning vortex, and like we're not supposed to get it. What I loved about this record the most, though, was that it was Altars of Madness 2 for me.
Yeah.
It was that crazy like because I know dude has it in him, riff wise, like I know he's got it. I like their vocalist too, the replacement vocalist. I don't remember his name right now, but he's fantastic. I should know this. I think his name was Steve. Yeah, Steve Tucker.
That's it.
He played bass and vocals. Yeah, and he was a good replacement, I think, for David Vincent. As iconic as David Vincent was, this guy is super solid on this stuff, and he gets it. And he's able to. I have mad respect for anybody that can sing over these riffs.
Yeah.
Because like I would always struggle with like if Joe wrote like a too complicated of a guitar part, I'm just like, how am I supposed to sing over this?
Where you like find your placements? Like
the answer is just count to 4 and fill in the blanks. Don't worry about what I'm doing over here.
I know. But yeah, no, he did a really solid job here. I think it also helped that he was the bassist, so he was able to just kind of. I mean, so was David Vincent, also played bass, but like those guys, for those bassist vocalists that were pretty prominent in death metal, they were so good at just being part of the rhythm section, vocally and musically, that it worked out. It worked out really, really well. But yeah, I love this record. This one was like another 10 out of 10 for me. I thought they killed it on this one. Even though I'm sure there were fans that were like, "Duh, bring David Vincent back," or what, like
whatever.
Yeah. Like it's whatever the 1998 version of YouTube comments were back then. But yeah, like this record is absolutely killer. And honestly, kind of feel the same way about the next one too.
Yeah, I see, dude. I gotta go. I gotta really get back into some of this later Morbid Angel stuff, because like after that record I fell off, so I gotta really check this stuff out.
2000, Gateways to Annihilation.
So Gateways to Annihilation it carries on very much same lineup as Formula's Fatal to the Flesh. And they keep the same vibe. This is the moment where usually on the podcast I'll sit there and say like, well, you guys didn't innovate, right? Because like when we criticize bands or whatever, it's one of those like we hold them to this impossible standard of having to be 100% innovative all the time and also not change anything. Yeah. And so that's the plight of the metal fan, right? But I really like this one. I think the tones were a little bit deeper. They slowed down in a few places, went kind of more back into that kind of sludgy, doomy sort of sound, which I didn't appreciate as much back then, but I appreciate more as an older person. Like I as I get older, I tend to sway more towards the slow doom stuff, Yeah, because I'm like, this is the stuff. Yeah, this is the stuff that's actually heavy. It's like, okay, Grandpa, let's go. Yep.
I don't like to throw this word around a lot, but this is 87% Caveman on this record. Just it has that dirty sound.
See, dude, I can't believe I didn't listen to this more. I got to get back in. I got to listen to this record again.
Come on, Scott. What were you doing in 2000 that you couldn't listen to Gateways to Annihilation?
I don't know. Dealing with a lot of stuff, I think.
There's a DVD about that.
You guys watched my 3.5-hour DVD?
Yeah.
Cheap plugs.
Yeah, there it is. That DVD has amazing editing. Like, there's so many times where like Russ's lip ring switches sides on his face. It's hilarious. Dude, it was pre 2005. It's fine. That's what everybody did.
Yep.
But yeah, Gateways to Annihilation it's really a tour de force. I think it's the weakest of the previous 3 albums. I think like obviously Domination, really heavy. Formula's Fatal to the Flesh, also really heavy. Gateways to Annihilation, amazing. But like it's the weakest of the 3, but this was like a real tour de force. This is 3 really, really rock solid albums that deliver in almost every aspect after what's arguably their most popular album. And there aren't a lot of bands out there that can do that can stay that consistent.
That's true.
And so like I if you're gonna listen to those albums, they're not super long. If you got 3 hours, I gotta take a 3-hour road trip on Saturday. If I pop these 3 in, man, I'll just be there. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's like time travel.
Nice.
Which is what makes this next album really, really hard to talk about. Heretic.
Yeah, dude, I'm so lost. I have nothing, so I can't wait to hear.
Well,
Heretic is Dan's favorite variation of the Doom engine. It has some fantasy themes with a little more hub world usage instead of going level by level.
Well,
this isn't what you want to talk about right now, is it, Dan?
Yeah, I wish we were talking about Heretic, the computer game, but
what about Hexen? That's like my jam.
I remember Hexen.
Yeah, Heretic was the prequel to Hexen. Like it was kind of the same sort of like medieval. It's Doom, but you're in medieval times.
Okay.
I guess I have to talk about this record. Okay,
yeah,
so Heretic by Morbid Angel musically is very solid.
Okay.
But it's like their Saint Anger.
Oh.
For some reason, you pop the record in, and it sounds worse than Altars of Madness. So Heretic came out in 2003. Altars of Madness came out in 1989, and it sounds better. And that could just be because I heard a remaster or whatever. Okay. But there was another record that came out. I think it came out between Altars of Madness and Blessed Are the Sick. And it was called Abominations of Desolation.
Okay.
And it's an album that is basically a lot of the songs that were on Altars of Madness, but it was from years before, and the record label just put it out, just to make money. I'm sure you know all about that. People taking, old demos for no reason and throwing them out. Yeah. Yep. So that's what Earache did.
Okay.
Is they put those old demos out. So then you go and you listen to Heretic, and you're asking yourself, why does this record, Abominations of Desolation, that's just their old demos, sound better than their newest full-length record?
Wow.
And I can't figure out why. Like, I don't know if it's just like, were they out of money, or because I know stuff like that happens. Like a band like Morbid Angel is not pulling the same crowd in 2003 as they are in 1995.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's why this record is just kind of an anomaly for me. And the thing that pisses me off about it is that it's not like a Saint Anger. It's not a bad record. It's a really awesome Morbid Angel album that sounds like your buddy copied it from CD to tape for you.
Wow.
And so like, again, like Trey's doing the Trey thing, he's playing those otherworldly solos and those crazy vortex riffs, and he's doing all the things. But whenever you really start getting into it, you have a record that you're like, did they record a whole record and then the label accidentally put out the scratch tracks? Or like, man, what happened here?
Or the guitars from the scratch tracks.
And I don't know. I don't know if it's an intentional choice. And like, I thought maybe it was just like my headphones, because I remember this was the first record so I bought a brand new pair of headphones, and it's the first time I've ever spent more than $100 on a pair of headphones. So I was like, all right, these are going to be amazing. And I put them in and I listened to Heretic, and I was like, oh, these things suck. And I was like, this is awful. Like, there's no way a Morbid Angel album would sound like that, And then I put on Covenant with the headphones. I was like, oh no, actually these headphones are fantastic. But and that leads us to our sponsor. But yeah, this record is really good. Like, there's a song on there called Enshrined by Grace that I think is awesome. And God of Our Own Divinity is amazing. Like, there's really good Morbid Angel material on here, but it just sounds really bad. It sounds quiet. It sounds like something that Joe and I would have recorded back in 2001 on a 4-track recorder.
Man,
and even then, I'd have to compare those recordings to this one.
Wow.
We can do that. I've been ripping a lot of CDs lately. I don't know. This one sounds like you were walking through the woods with a field recorder and you discovered a hornet's nest and decided to throw the recorder into the hornet's nest just to see what it sounds like, then bring it back to the studio and say, we're not going to do buzzsaw, guys. We're going straight to Beehive with this guitar tone.
Wow.
And
We're going to go over
Entomb,
over the buzzsaw into the Beehive. Okay.
I don't hate it. I can understand why somebody that listens to this all the time would hate it. But I'm also looking at the timeline. It's 2003, Dan. We just started recording with computers like all the time.
Yeah, but this doesn't sound like it was recorded on a computer. It sounds like it was reel-to-reel tape, which is normally a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But like in this case, it's really not, dude. I don't know. I don't really know how else to explain it. And I'm definitely not like trying to shit on Morbid Angel because, like, again, I think the actual songs that they wrote were fantastic.
Cool. It's just a bad sounding. Well, yeah.
But I hate to break this to you guys, but it gets worse.
Oh no.
2011, Elude Divinum Insanus.
So number 1, David Vincent's back.
I do remember that.
That's cool. But then what you actually get, okay.
Is this like after his country stuff?
Yes.
Oh no.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So what you have with this record that I can't pronounce, the Elunda Divinium Insanus.
Close enough.
And I hear that name and I'm like, oh, Trey's going to like solo until my eyeballs melt or whatever, you know. This is going to be great. And some of it is great. Like there are some good like death metal Morbid Angel songs. But there's also a lot of like weird industrial stuff. Like they threw all these weird industrial elements, and like it's like there's a song called "Too Extreme."
Okay.
And it's not. It sounds like they're doing like a Rammstein thing.
Oh.
And so it's just really weird hearing like David Vincent do that. And then they'll play like a death metal song, but then like there's a song called "I Am Morbid" that's on there.
Oof. Yeah. Anytime you use your own. Any part of your name in a song is probably not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scott, what's up with all those O's and A's in your song titles, man?
Yeah,
Seriously.
we lucked out. Yeah, we can't use that name, so that's good.
I Am Morbid sounds like I think they wanted to sound like Pantera.
Okay.
And like David Vincent's doing this like weird clean vocal thing that doesn't work. He's just like, I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it. Like Trey's kind of doing like the tremolo picking thing under it, but it sounds more like a dank, like hard rock song.
Oh,
like
man.
it's like groove, but not like the kind of groove that you're here for, you know?
You know what? I can kind of understand the you're going for one thing, but it ends up coming out in it comes out in a different way. Like you want to sound, you do a song and you want it to sound like The Refused, and it sounds like Limp Bizkit. So I kind of know
it's not a
what
bad
that's
thing.
like.
I want to hear the Zao Limp Bizkit cover album. That's my life would be complete. You're like, well, keep waiting for it, buddy.
It's coming. It's coming.
Hey,
this is just again, dude. So there you go.
Yeah, there you go. You know, I appreciate it. So this is kind of the hard part about being a metal fan is you want bands to be innovative because you want to take your favorite bands and you want to put them on a pedestal and you want to show them to people and be like, this is the best.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't get any better than this, you know. There's this dude named Trey as Githoth, you know, and he's the man and he's the best guitarist ever. And it's impossible for a band to live up to that standard though. Like, especially when you put out a record like Covenant or like an Altars of Madness, you know, there's still people that are like, oh, they never got any better than Altars of Madness. Right.
Yeah.
And so they're like, okay, do we just keep doing the same thing? We've done that for 4 records, or do we want to try something totally different, something nobody's expecting? And I can see, and I've seen it with a lot of bands where everybody starts getting really excited. Like we're going to do this. We're going to do this thing that's different than what I think people are expecting from us. And I think people are going to be really excited about the changes that we've made. And, you know, sometimes that's a Crimson Corridor and sometimes that's a Elude Divinum Insanus, you know, like
no one is
really
expecting
hard.
Rammstein, but
right.
if you wanted Rammstein,
There it is.
You're not
Wow.
going to all of a sudden go back and listen to death metal now.
I mean, I listened to this one like in prepping up for this episode. I listened to this one the most times because whenever I hear a record and I immediately have a bad impression of it, I'm like, there's got to be something in here that I can pull out of it that, you know, there's got to be some point that I'm missing or something. But the more I listened to it, the more perplexed I got. And the more I was just like, I don't know why they would do this. I'm not like angry, like it doesn't affect my life that they did this, but you know, it's just one of those things that I'm not really sure what they were thinking. And, you know, David Vincent did not stick around in the band after this one.
Wow. Maybe.
Yeah, it was just like
sense.
it was like a one-off sort of thing. I think he toured with them for a couple years after this because it was like 6 years before they put their next one out.
Yep. Okay.
And that's when we get into Kingdom's Disdained.
Mm-hmm.
This one's actually pretty cool.
Yeah. What I heard, I liked a lot. So I gotta really tear this one apart. But I remember hearing like their first, whatever single and being pretty excited.
It's the most like Domination or Formula's Fatal to the Flesh. I don't think it's as good as either one of those records, but I do think that it's very much in the same vein. And I think this is one of those cases where they were like, yeah, on that last record, we may have gone too far in a few places. Let's kind of go back, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this one's good. It's got really good production value, which is really good because we haven't really had that. I mean, don't get me wrong. The last record was very well produced. It just wasn't
good.
The material wasn't super compelling.
Yeah.
Is the most PC way I can say that. But yeah, I mean, Kingdom's Disdained is Morbid Angel the way you want Morbid Angel. Somebody's shooting off fireworks outside.
Yeah.
But what if I want my Morbid Angel to be industrial sounding and have a bunch of 4 on the floor keyboard snare sounds and the dude starts screaming about Rammstein? If I want that, can I still have that on this one?
No.
But I want that.
Well, you can go back and listen to the last record. There's plenty of that. This one's great. There's a song that I really, really love off of this record that I want to highlight, which is The Righteous Voice. It's just a wall of riffs. And it's everything that you want out of a Morbid Angel song off of a new album. And it encapsulates, I think, what the band is about. It's almost like a thesis statement of like, take all the best elements of Morbid Angel as you like them and put them into one song. And yeah, The Righteous Voice just does that for me. It's a great record. I highly recommend it. And if they stay on this trajectory, and it's also worth noting that the vocalist on this one is the same singer from Formula's Fatal to the Flesh, Gateways to Annihilation, and Heretic. But like, yeah, so they kind of get back to doing what they do in a really strong way. And for that I salute them. I mean, I think that I was very happy after I listened to that last record, going into the next one kind of being a little bit nervous as to what I was going to be getting, because when I first went into this episode, I had only really heard up until Gateways to Annihilation. Mm-hmm. And so I remembered Morbid Angel as this like a just incredible band that, you know, I was like, this is going to be the easiest episode ever. We're just going to be like, yeah, every album, 10 out of 10. Yeah, let's go, you know? And so I was really surprised to hear two of them towards the end being kind of not that great. And then the last one actually being pretty decent.
But this one sounds like 2017. It's a more modern sounding Morbid Angel, Dan.
It is. It sounds great. But what I actually like about it, though, is it doesn't sound all that different than old Morbid Angel. Mm-hmm. And I like that they kind of kept that production value of, I mean, I hate to use this because it's a trope now, but like real drums, these are real drums. That every hit doesn't sound the same, you know, like
it's not a trope, dude. It's a requirement in 2017.
It's not though, man. Like it's one of those things where like, and I'm not like so like up my own ass that like if a band has like sequence drums or whatever, like I'm gonna like get mad about it or anything. But it's just one of those things where it's refreshing to hear something that I've been listening to since the 90s still sound like the 90s, mm-hmm. you know, and
or
still
use
have
the same,
that.
Yeah, actually use the same recording techniques.
Yeah.
Like, hey, if you're a drummer, maybe it'd be cool to just play drums. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all I got, boys, for Morbid Angel.
Oof. Yeah.
It was.
I got to go listen to those other ones, but
yeah, you do.
Covenant, Domination and Formulas Fatal to the Flesh. I mean, you really, if you have those three out of your whole career, like you're like Morbid Angel will never not be awesome because of those three records. So
Right.
I'm really excited to like really dig into this newest one because, like I said, I like the few songs I heard I really liked, so I need to go and really dig on this one.
Final thoughts on Morbid Angel, Dan?
I mean, it's Morbid Angel. I mean, go listen to it. I mean, don't listen to that one album, but like everything else, you're going to be fine with. I mean, it's if you're just getting into death metal, I recommend starting with Covenant, and then moving on to Domination. I think those two records really solidify it. And then I think when you're done with those two records, go back and listen to Altars of Madness because you're going to like it more, I think. But yeah, Morbid Angel is one of those bands that like you wouldn't have modern bands like Gojira without them.
Nope.
You know, you wouldn't have these bands that are like, instead of being hyper melodic, let's create our own melodies. Let's create our own weird alien, you know, sort of sounds. And they're one of the best bands for that. So Morbid Angel is definitely a band that you need to be listening to, and you know, you might actually pull some inspiration from it that maybe other people haven't pulled yet. It's that unique.
Scott, what about you?
My music career speaks for itself, I think, with Morbid Angel.
For sure.
No, I'm right there with you. I think that Trey's songwriting and his guitar playing is so interesting and on a different level and inspiring. And I think like anybody that wants to get into this super heavy style of music, you know, if you want to go back to the guy that like really kind of opened up a lot of that like cool after sounds, you know, like, and using the super heavy riffs, but like using scrapes in a way that like becomes part of the part of the riff. That's kind of where it starts for that kind of stuff. So yeah, I've been a fan of his playing for so long, and I've been a fan of the band with those older records, and I'm actually ashamed of myself that I haven't given these newer records more of a listen because of how much I like the older stuff.
There's only like two that you like really need to listen to.
Yeah, I kind of missed. Yeah. But like, Gateways to Annihilation, I got to listen to that record.
It's so good.
Yeah, I got to listen to that record more too. So I got stuff to do. I'm pretty excited.
Do you like dirty, dingy sounding death metal records that just make walls of noise that don't let up? Morbid Angel has like 9 of those.
Yes.
And despite the random missteps along the way, those are entertaining at worst.
Yes.
The band is pretty much a sure thing for anybody that is into death metal or extreme over-the-top thrash-influenced music. You've seen more than one band pretending to be this band, so you might as well listen to Morbid Angel, because there is no such thing as too much intensity when it comes to this type of death metal.
Yeah.
Scott, thanks for hanging out with us, man. What's going on with Zao?
So yeah, we are gearing up for some shows finally. Like, not that COVID's done, but I think that we're in a place, hopefully, in the States here that like all the shows that are starting to get booked now actually do come and happen. We're doing Furnace Fest in September.
Nice.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing, I think we're doing like 5 dates prior to it too. So I can't wait. I can't wait to get back out and especially with the new record, because like you put records out hoping that you get to play them in front of people. We were in a situation where you don't know when. So I think we put the record out at the perfect time because it's not too long past that we'll be able to get out and play some of these new songs.
Well, yeah, and you guys sat on that record for a while too.
Yeah, it was supposed to be released last year, and then we were like, not really. I mean, we don't tour anyway, so it's like that wasn't a huge part of the decision. But I'm super glad we waited because I think it came out at the right time, and now like it's not going to be so far in people's memory that like when we do play it, it'll hopefully be exciting.
Has it been good just seeing how people responded to it? I know before it came out, there was like almost a little bit of nervousness of like, are people really gonna, are people gonna enjoy this? Or are they gonna be mad that it's not this or it's not that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always slightly worried because I think we always do things that feel like they're like you would expect, but
Sure.
But whatever. So yeah, there was a little bit of nervousness, but seeing how people have reacted to this record makes me really excited for the future. Cause like, I think the path we're kind of on, seeing that people are like receptive to that path, I think is going to be really cool for the next thing we do.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, I'm always blown away that people even listen still. So, seeing how this thing went, like how fast it's like, cause we were sold out of the first pressing in like a couple days. Yeah. And then we are planning on doing the second pressing of vinyl. And yeah, it's been awesome. Super excited to get to play these songs. Cause I think that this is it's been a long time since we've been like, we know when we get out there, people are going to be excited to hear the newest stuff. So
yeah, for sure.
We'll be there.
I can't wait. We'll be at Furnace Fest at least.
Good.
So,
Good.
You know, we got that going for it.
Furnace Fest is going to be so crazy.
I'm not looking forward to the heat, but yeah.
Yeah, it'll be pretty hot, but it's going to just be insane. Especially I can't confirm it yet today, but I've heard like 3 or 4 different things about what's happening for us that just blew my mind.
Yeah,
so.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Oh, that's great. Well, we can't wait to see you out on the road again, and we're all good. Are you vaccinated, Joe? I'm almost vaccinated.
You're almost fully vaccinated?
Did you get the first one?
I got the first one, and then I got COVID.
Oh my god!
Like right afterwards. Yeah, it's like my wife woke up one morning and she's like, "Yeah, I can't taste or smell anything," and I was like, "Crap!"
Oh
You know?
Man!
I had to call my boss and be like, "Hey, buddy, you know, here's what's up." You know, they were super cool about it. I got a week off of work order, but I lucked out, I think, because I was already partially vaccinated. So like, my wife, it hit her hard. She was like in bed for like 4 days.
Oh man!
And I felt like I had a cold, you know, like a little bit of a sore throat, coughing every now and again, but like nothing big. Our kids, we assumed that they must have at least been carrying it, but yeah, they were all at 100% energy.
Wow.
We have 4, so it's like 100% energy the entire time. So thankfully, like one of the adults was still alive to take care of all of that.
Oh man!
But yeah, so I'm almost there. I'm getting my next shot, I think, in 2 days or 3 days or something like that, because there had to be a waiting period after recovery and all that good stuff. So it's been a journey. But man, once I get that second shot, I'm going to be like, I'm just going to go anywhere and do anything. Like Furnace Fest is going to be I've been waiting for that for like almost 2 years now.
Oh yeah, same. All of us have too. So super excited.
Definitely.
Scott, what's your album of the week?
Ooh.
Album of the week. What the hell have I been listening to? Wait, what? There was something that I actually did just listen to that came out not too long ago.
I did listen to something that I liked this week.
Why can't I remember the song? What the hell was it? I got excited. Maybe I'm thinking Mastodon's doing like a weird acoustic thing.
Yeah.
I saw that. That got me super excited. But what did I thought I heard a song. Dude, I don't even know. I can't remember. Maybe I didn't. Album of the week's probably just an old one that I listen to all the time. Yob. I listen to Our Raw Heart again because that record's so good. That record should be your
go with an old safe one. Got it.
Yeah,
okay.
Dude. There you go. Yeah.
Nice.
Dan, what about you?
You know, it's not usually in my character, but I actually am really digging the new Fear Factory record that just came out.
Good choice.
Continuum. It's normally just the Crimson Corridor, but I don't want to be a total dork in front of Scott. But
well,
yeah,
glad. Thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, actually, so what was cool about this Fear Factory record too is that like not only do I like it, I'm a little disappointed that Burton C. Bell, their vocalist, is no longer in the band and like hates the band or whatever, but his vocals were still available to use on the new record. So we got that at least. But the cool thing about this is the first record in probably like 5 years that I actually got in my car, drove to a record store. I said, "Do you have the new Fear Factory?" They said, "Yes, we do." I bought it. They handed it to me. I put it in my car. I listened to it on the way home. I haven't had that experience in such a long time that it was like, yeah, it was incredible. Because I remember when it came out and I was like, oh, I really just want to kind of go out and buy this, like buy a hard copy of it, you know? And people are like, you just listen to it on Spotify. I was like, I know, but I just want to get a record and not know anything about it and pop it in. And And so I think that partially enhanced it, because I mean, I think it doesn't sound all that different than like other Fear Factory records, but I don't know, I really enjoyed it, and they're one of the few bands that are from that era that are still like really, really good, you know, and are still kind of putting out their better stuff kind of in their later career. So definitely check out Aggression Continuum by Fear Factory. It's the one with the robot on the cover.
I will do that.
For me, it's Capital Punishment, the Megadeth years.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
It's the version of Megadeth's greatest hits that has all the old mixes on it.
Oh, wow.
So if you want to hear how good those albums were before they decided to remix and remaster them, that's a good place to start.
I mean, I still got my tapes.
Me too.
That's what it sounds like.
I still have my tapes, yeah.
That works out.
Take us out, DFT.
If you've ever been listening to this podcast and you would like to be more directly involved in what we talk about, or specifically what bands we talk about, feel free to reach out to us. And there's a lot of different ways you can do that. You can reach out to us on Facebook.com/Discography Discussion. You can send us a tweet at discussmetal. You can find us on Instagram at discussmetal. You can find me on Twitch 2 times a week, Mondays and Thursdays, playing old school Doom and Doom related games. Twitch.tv/discussmetaldan. If you want to get some sweet Discography Discussion merch, you can visit our Teespring store. There'll be a link in the show notes that'll take you there. If you want to get a sweet shirt or some socks or a cell phone case with our logo on it, that would be very much appreciated and helps the podcast. And you can always join our Discord server. There will be another link in the show notes that'll take you to our Discord server, which is kind of the place to be right now as far as hanging out with us and talking. And if you want to hang out with us once a month, you can join our Patreon. There will be a link in the show notes that'll show you all of our Patreon tiers. And every bit that you give to Patreon will absolutely support the show and will allow us to do cool hangout events every single month with you guys.
And on that note, this has been episode 231 of Discography Discussion. Thank you for listening. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at discussmetal. Subscribe to our podcast everywhere you listen to podcasts, including Google Play, Apple Podcasts, and Stitcher. Visit discussmetal.com for all things Discography Discussion. And please send questions and comments to danandjoeshow@gmail.com. If you are not a patron, you can become one at patreon.com/discussmetal. We have some sweet perks.
Hey, Joe, can I borrow some money?
$1 a month gets you into that exclusive album review feed.